Hey, everybody. So great to be here with Andrew Stoute on this beautiful Saturday.
Mhm.
Andrew Stoute he has several certifications, human resources, diversity, and inclusion. And he's also the host of the podcast, Let's Be Diverse. I'm
Mhm.
so excited to spend some time chatting with Andrew today about the implications of being busy, of getting
Mhm.
kind of sucked into this hustle culture where we got to do all the things and be all the things. And, that's the only way to success, right? That's the only
Mhm.
way to achievements. So we're going to talk about the implications of that, raise some awareness on what you can do differently, right? So you can work differently. You could have different health, a little bit less stress, right? All the things. So Andrew, thank you so much for being here today. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to have me on today.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here with you on this beautiful Saturday morning. A little bit about me. I am Canadian. I am a fellow Quebecer, so I speak two languages, English and French. I am a sports enthusiast, so I love everything about sports, and I love all things regarding leadership, human resources, and well-being. I am a people person that loves authenticity, empowerment, and compassion. And I am a strong believer in people finding their passion.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you have a favorite sport?
Yes, I would say I'm a hockey nut. I like hockey, football, but I'd say hockey is my main go-to that I watch quite a bit of. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very
Hmm.
cool.
Hmm.
All right, Andrew. What is something, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So, what
Sure.
is something you believe about busyness or this hustle culture that a lot of people might disagree with?
Well, you sent me that question, I think of, you know, when I ask people how they're doing or what's new, a lot of them say stuff like I gotta keep hustling. Here where I live, a lot of people say it in a sarcastic way. When you ask them how they're doing, they say you know, I'm living the dream, which is what a lot of people will say, which is
Mm.
kind of sarcastic. Or
Oh,
I've heard some people say to me, someone said to me the other day, um, I won't achieve my dreams if I don't work hard enough. Now,
oh,
now, some say that being busy is a good thing, and in cases where we're going through a rough time, I would say that we need to be busy to keep our minds occupied. It's a good way to help with negative emotions. But I believe we get hooked into being okay with busyness. Um, that it's okay to always be working and always be doing something. But I want to say that it's okay. I believe that it's okay to rest. I believe it's okay to take breaks. I believe it's okay to not be working all the time.
right. I love that. It's so powerful for us to give ourselves permission to take time off.
Mhm.
And it's really interesting because I can't remember the exact statistic, but it's like people would rather, and I think it was like over 90% of in this research study, people would rather be electrocuted
Mhm.
than to have, I think it was like 2 minutes of like silence with their own thoughts.
Wow.
And that was mind blowing. And I've experienced
Mm.
that in some groups that I've led and some groups that I've participated in. And when there's an opportunity for people to really just like to embody some stillness or practice stillness, people get really uncomfortable with that. So I love that
Mhm.
you said that, it's giving yourself permission to rest, allowing yourself to not have to accomplish so much every day.
Mhm. Mhm.
I- Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. What do you notice within yourself when you get sucked into a cycle of being busy? Like what changes happen? Because we go through seasons, right? We go
Mhm.
through seasons of life, of business, where some times are busier, right? There's maybe more things on our plate than other times, but what do you notice within yourself that changes or shifts when you feel busy?
Well, one of the things I find is that I'm always looking for stuff. I could, when you're busy, you put something down and then you go to do something else, and then you're trying to find that thing that you put down and you can't find it. So that's one thing I notice is that I lose track of stuff pretty fast. And then I would say I get frustrated with the smallest things. The
Mm,
littlest things sometimes bother me. It doesn't happen too often, but when you do have that sense of lots of things going on, I do find that I find myself getting a little bit frustrated, especially if things are not going well. If your computer is giving you issues, or you can't, your processes are not going right, or something changes at work that you don't like, you get frustrated, when or sometimes it could be sleep, right? You don't, you're tossing and turning, which doesn't happen often, but every once in a while you have stuff on your mind, before you go to sleep, something that you got, did you think of, oh, I got to remember to do this, I got to remember to do that, and then so you're tossing and turning because you have that stuff on your mind. So um
mm,
you get frustrated with that because you're needing to get sleep, but you can't because you got that stuff
right.
hanging in the
Yes.
balance.
Yeah. So what I heard you
Mm.
say was kind of like a little bit forgetful, or
Mhm.
not able to locate the things that maybe you could have located before, maybe losing time
Yep.
because you're feeling frazzled and overwhelmed, not sleeping as well. Yeah. Very, very interesting. It's
Mhm.
amazing how so many things in our life can be affected, right? When
Mhm.
we're
Mhm.
working on checking off all these boxes and doing all
Right.
these things. And
Right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely have noticed the misplacing things or filing things in the wrong place or
Mhm.
putting things down in a place where, I'll never forget it, like I'll be able to
Mhm.
remember, but then I have no idea where I put it. So we tend to lose a lot of time when we
Right.
have all these things on our plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find myself, because you're stressed, or in those times, sometimes because I'm frustrated, you might be a little bit short. And again, it
Mm,
doesn't happen often, but sometimes you're short, and then you're short with somebody. So I always feel, I got to go back to that person and say, hey, if I, sounded short, or I, felt like I was a little bit cranky, it's not you.
oh,
And it's funny because a lot of times I think it's us that feels that way, because I would say 95% of the time when I say that to somebody, they say, oh, I didn't even notice that you were cranky, Andrew. Like, don't take any, don't worry about it. Don't take any offense of it. It's, so it's mostly us, I think, that feel it. And then I guess we worry about how we're being projected to people. So, or how people see us. So we think that they see us being a certain way, but in reality, they're like, oh no, I don't see that at all. Like, don't worry about it.
right, right. And I love that you have the initiative, you take that step to
Mhm.
making sure, that your communication was clear and
Mhm.
received in a powerful way. That's great.
Mhm.
Very, very
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
And I totally agree when, you're so busy and all the things, and then somebody needs something, or like if one of my kids comes in my office and then, it's kind of short or snippy or dismissive, right,
Mhm.
of different things. So
For sure.
yes, 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 yes. There's nothing more powerful than being present, right, in the moment, grounded,
Right.
calm heart, clear head,
Mhm.
right? These are
Mhm.
all powerful things. So,
Exactly.
Andrew, have you ever experienced a flow state? And what would you describe like is the difference between, being in a flow state and being busy? Because we talked a little bit about like there's seasons of life, there's seasons of,
Mm.
our personal life or our professional life where
Right.
things are just a little bit more full
Right.
than other seasons. So,
Mhm.
this idea between flow and busyness, have you experienced it? And what are your thoughts?
Well, first off, like I mentioned earlier, I think busyness is not always happiness. So, being
Mm,
busy will, in some cases, make us feel anxious. So, where I think flow is a wonderful state where we find ourselves engaged and we lose a sense of time. So, to me, that's a form of passion, which is a strong liking or desire for a devotion to some activities, objects, or concepts. So when we have a passion for something, we enjoy it and we almost forget about what we're doing because we're in that passion realm.
mm, that's powerful.
Mhm,
Yeah, I love the idea of passion,
mhm,
passion coming from that flow state. And I've heard stories. Actually, one of my coaches describes when she was in a flow state, she was able to put together like an entire, I mean, this huge project
right.
in a weekend
Mhm,
where it would have taken her probably months before. She was
right.
planning a whole entire summit and she was able to
Mhm,
find the speakers, arrange everything, all the topics, all the emails, the fun, all the things in this very, very short amount of time. And she said
right.
time kind of collapsed. And like you said, that passion,
Right.
right? She was just so engaged. So I love how you describe that.
Yeah. And flow, when I think of flow, when was studying for my human resources certificate, I kind of hemmed and hawed about it at the beginning. I wasn't sure. It'd been a long time since I'd been in school, so I wondered how I was going to do with it. So, and I wondered if it was going to be, it was an interest to me at that time, but would it be an interest to me all throughout? So I
Mhm.
knew that it was, when we talk about flow and passion, I knew I had a passion for it when typically would study during on the weekends and in the evenings after work. And I remember fondly studying, and my wife would go to bed at like 9 o'clock, and I'd say I'll be upstairs shortly, and then I would hear her like going to the bathroom, and she'll be like, "Oh my god, like, are you still up? Like, it's time, like, you got to get to bed, like, it's work tomorrow." And I would look at my clock on my computer, and it's like 12:30, quarter to 1.
Wow.
And I was reading a textbook. So just to show you how much flow, like we're talking about, and passion, I just felt a passion for it. I never thought that I would have a passion for reading a textbook, but I just got myself so caught into what I was reading, and it was so interesting to me that I totally lost track of time, that and just continued reading. And then the poor my poor wife, I would get to bed and I'd say, sorry, I was reading this, and then I would start to rehash what I was learning, and she would tell me, she'd say, you know, I'm so proud of you for that you're interested in that. Can we talk about this in the morning? Because we both got to get up for work tomorrow. And I would say, okay, you're right. Let's go to sleep. But because I had learned something, I had to tell somebody. And she was the first person that I wanted to tell what I learned. But it just wasn't the right time. But I just was so like
Right.
enthralled by what I was learning. And it was just so, like I said, passion. I just was so passionate about it that I just had to tell somebody, and show like, hey, not only did I read this stuff, but I learned it, and this is what I learned, and this is what I understand, and I can't believe, I never thought of it this way. And so, yeah.
Yes. I love that, Andrew. Yeah. And you bring up a great point too. Like when we're passionate about something and excited about something, of course we want to share it
Right.
with others.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. So, Andrew, if somebody's feeling busy and overwhelmed and kind of like sucked into this idea, because we are very much conditioned to believe that
Mhm.
there is a linear path to get to our result, to get to our achievement, and it takes lots of hours,
Mhm.
lots of hard work,
Right.
sleepless nights,
Mhm.
coffee, couple cups of coffee all day, right? To keep us going, right? Like it's just very much ingrained in every part of our day-to-day life.
Right.
So what is something that people can do if they are committed to creating a different lifestyle, more integration between their work, their personal life, more balance if you want to think about it that way, and they're just ready for something different. They're not willing to sacrifice their time, their energy, their
Mhm.
life, right? Their health maybe in some cases. Do you have any ideas on what they can do maybe first to start to weaken this maybe conditioning or these thoughts or beliefs that they gotta work really, 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 really hard to get
Mhm.
to that result?
Well, I would first off, I'd say establishing routines would probably be the key. So, making sure that you have your, if you're working from, especially if you're working from home, like making time, setting an alarm to, every hour just to even if you're just getting up just to stretch, you can still be working on, at your computer, but just to get up for a couple of seconds, uh, take a stretch, make sure that you set aside. I'm a firm believer in family time, so making sure that you're not always working. I know stuff's got to get done, but you need to make sure that your family is that you set aside time for your family and your especially your little ones. It's very very important to do that. Um, Collaborating with others like we're doing today, I think is key, because you're talking about these subjects, and a lot of times you're talking about these things and you're giving advice to other people, but it's good to talk about it because then it makes you kind of think about what you're doing and the things
Mm.
that can help you. And like I said, talking to people helps me as well. um if I need to, sometimes you just need to vent, sometimes you just need to let
Yeah.
some steam off, and you need somebody to not listen, to listen, not to give you advice or to say, hey, you know why don't you do this or why don't you do that. You just need to somebody to just say, to listen, and then at the end saying, I hear you, I receive what you're saying, and I understand, and I appreciate what you're going through. Let's, that's great. I'm here to listen, and just keep listening. And for me, that helps.
Right. Yes, that's really powerful. Having somebody who can listen without the advice, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we don't really want or need advice. We just want to verbalize. We just want to be seen and heard and
Yeah.
appreciated, and we want our feelings to be,
Yeah.
validated.
Yeah.
I love that.
A lot of people are looking, especially, and you mentioned seen, heard. A lot of people, when they're looking for a new workplace, they want to be seen, heard, valued, and understood. That's what they want. That's the environment that they want to be working in. They don't want to be put into a corner or ignored. Those four things are things that they're looking for. And if they can find that type of environment of those four things, then you know that they have a good workplace and they have good work-life balance. And we spend so much time at work, spend more time at work than we do with our families. So if you can have those four things, I believe that your work life will be um, excellent.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. This was such an interesting conversation. I really appreciated what you mentioned about flow and
Mhm.
passion.
Mhm.
Very, very awesome to think about
No, I
it from that
appreciate that.
perspective.
Oh, for sure. I
Yeah.
appreciate that and receive that. And yes, it was very fun and lots of fun and interesting to chat with you today. And it's always good to talk to people for sure.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to learn more about you and what you do and your podcast, where can they find you? How can they connect?
So I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Andrew Stoute, Stoute. My website is let's be diverse podcast 42@gmail.com. So you can email me there, or you can just send me a quick message, like I said, on LinkedIn, just to DM me a quick hello, introduce yourself. And yeah, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for sharing some of your thoughts on busyness today.
I appreciate you having me on today, and look forward to speaking again soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew.
You're welcome.